Hi, everybody. Hi, welcome. So you all are on mute now, but I wanted to welcome you all to the Evanston Arts Center remotely. We're really excited to have you here. We are going to be recording this to share on our website as well to help people who might be new to Zooming and hopefully get some people excited about some online classes at the Arts Center. My name is Christena Gunther, and I'm the Director of Education at the Evanston Arts Center. And we love doing in-person classes. We've been doing in-person classes for 90 years. And it's a big shift, but it's an exciting shift as we're moving into virtual classes. So we had our first spring session of virtual classes that went really well, and we learned a lot. And now we're excited that we can be offering some more summer classes. I wanted to really quickly just share our website with you to show you where you can learn more about our online classes. And basically, we're going to evanstonartscenter.org, and we're going to online classes, and we're offering both kids and adult online classes. So if you scroll down, you'll see our youth courses as well as our adult courses. And we're offering over 120 online classes this summer, so we hope that you'll consider taking one of them. But they're really ranging from jewelry to ceramics to pen and ink illustration to collage to all sorts of things, including an art history talk if you're not ready to do art making at home yourself. But we really wanted today to help show you the different things that are available in Zoom and hopefully help you feel a little more comfortable if you've been on the fence about taking a class. Because while in-person classes are really amazing and can be really powerful, online classes can be too, and especially right now when we're trying our hardest to stay safe, online really offers a lot of opportunities. We also were really lucky this spring to have students as far as Switzerland participating in our classes, which obviously did not happen just when we had in-person classes here in Evanston. So that's a happy byproduct. The plan for the day is that I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the features of Zoom, and then Alex, Alex, who is our awesome instructor for some of our online classes, will do a demo of what an art class can be like in Zoom. And so we encourage you to follow along if you would like with the demo and create your own sketch too, but we'll get to that soon. And then at the end, we will have plenty of time for your questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to start writing them down. If you have a pen and paper, you can do that, but you also are welcome to use the chat feature. If you look, I'm using a desktop version of Zoom, and if you look at the bottom, you'll see there's a chat function. So if you have questions that you don't want to forget, you're welcome to use that chat feature, and then we'll get to those at the end. But hopefully we'll answer a lot of your questions along the way. Some tips about Zoom. I never used Zoom until March, so I've been learning a lot about Zoom as we rolled out these classes as well. And so I've been really learning a lot about Zoom by practicing. And that's something that I encourage our teachers, and I would also encourage you as students to do as you're getting more familiar with using Zoom. A lot of it has to do with your comfort and confidence in using Zoom. So I encourage you to have a Zoom happy hour with a friend or reach out to a family member and try to use Zoom just so you can feel a little more confident with it. Some people that I've been talking to when I've been training and trying to help folks get used to using this platform is that you really can't mess it up, especially if you're a participant. There's not much you can do to make a mistake. So it's good to be curious and good to say, like, what does this button do? And you can find out. And in this class today, and also if you take an art class with us in the future, the worst thing that could happen is you'd be somehow out of the meeting, and then you could join again and try again. So it's really great to be curious and to try to play with Zoom a little bit to get more comfortable. Something that's really helpful that I like a lot in Zoom is if you go to the participants bar. So if you look at the bottom on your desktop, if you're using a desktop version, you can select participants, and then on the side, you'll see a list of everybody that is participating in Zoom. In this Zoom class. So that's really helpful if you're trying to figure out how many people are in your class or get to know the names of some of your classmates. We won't have more than 12 people in a class, just like an in-person class at the Art Center. So we do try to limit the class size so it is manageable and you're able to hopefully get to know some of your classmates. You also have the feature of renaming yourself. So if you click on the participants bar, there are a list of names. And if you find your name, it should say your name and then in parentheses, it says me. So you would be able to rename yourself. So if you, for instance, had a name, your name on here was showing up as iPad or was showing up as a partner's name that maybe wasn't your name, you would be able to rename yourself. So I'm gonna rename myself with my last name too. So I'm renaming myself to be Christena Gunther EAC. And if you'd like, you're welcome to try to rename yourself while I'm talking right now too, to see if it works. So that's just one simple thing, but kind of like a name tag that's really helpful for you to get to know other people in the class. You also can see, if you look at the participants bar, you can see who else is on mute and who has their videos turned off. So if somebody had their video turned off but was still in the class, you could have an idea of who else might be hearing you talk. That way you're clear on who else is in the room with you. Another really helpful thing and a good thing to know about taking a class or participating in Zoom is muting yourself. So using the mute button. So the mute button is on the bottom left, and we have it set so when you join a class, you're automatically muted. And so if you want to talk or want to participate, you will have to unmute yourself. And so you can do that by selecting the mute button at the bottom. There is a lot of etiquette around mute, so you do want to be really aware of if you have your microphone on. There could be an instance where you might be eating, or you might be moving paper around, or you might be doing something that is not very noisy to you, but with the microphone on your device, it might pick it up and might be really annoying to somebody else listening to you, or might make it really hard for somebody else to hear the teacher. So your instructors, when you start a class at the Art Center, will ask everyone to stay on mute unless you're talking or unless there's a discussion part. So that way everybody can hear more clearly the instructions or what's being shared. So that's a really good tip to know as well. You also can try to join if you're having some trouble hearing the meeting or you're having some issues with your internet. You also can try to use your phone, and you can join using your phone audio. And you can do that by selecting, there's a little caret next to mute, and if you select it, it has some options that include switch to phone audio. So if you click on that, that will give you a phone number you can call, and that's the phone number where you could hear the audio coming through your phone rather than through your computer, and that could help if you're having internet problems. You also are welcome to turn off your video at any time if you don't want people to see you. So you can feel free to stop video. For the classes, we really like to have everyone present so we can see who's participating, and it makes it a little easier for the speaker to know that people are listening. But if you don't feel comfortable being watched at all times, you're welcome to turn the video off. You also can have some fun playing around with your backgrounds. I'm not actually standing in front of the Evanston Art Center sign. I have a picture of it that I put behind me. So if you're not comfortable showing your background for whatever reason, or you want to have some fun, you're welcome to create some fun virtual backgrounds. But you also can use some of the preset backgrounds, like I could go to San Francisco or be in some blades of grass. There's a lot of different options that they already have preset. So you don't have to feel self-conscious about people seeing your personal space if you would rather they not. Ooh, and I see that Amy changed her background to be some cool like indigo dyeing designs in the background. It looks really awesome. So you can have some fun with that as well, because it is kind of strange to suddenly have an art class happen in your living room or bedroom. So you can feel free to use that feature. You also can go to video settings, and you can select touch up my appearance. I have done that myself, but I don't know how much it really works, but you're welcome to try that if you're also feeling kind of self-conscious about people seeing you. So you can have some fun playing with that as well. And then the chat feature that I mentioned at the bottom is another really helpful tool to know about. And that is really helpful, especially if you're having some issues with your technology, or you're not hearing what people are saying. You can use the chat feature and just select the chat feature, and you can either write a message to everyone, or you can send a private message to somebody. So if you needed to send a private message to the teacher, maybe you would say, I'm going to be leaving early, I wanted you to know. Or you don't want to interrupt the class, but you have a question. Or if you're having some, maybe if you would like somebody to be on mute who's not, if you need to send a message to the teacher that you don't want other people to know, you're welcome to use that chat feature as well. So that's kind of a way that you can whisper if you need to communicate something that you're not comfortable saying in front of everybody. The other thing I meant to say about the video feature is you also, if you're having issues with your internet, you can turn off the video, stop video, and that way that won't use as much of your broadband. So you're welcome to do that as well. If there's a lot of issues with internet connectivity, I suggest that the teacher tells everybody to stop their video, so that way there's enough bandwidth for everyone. So you can feel free to utilize that if you're having any problems. A really fun thing that you can do, which I personally enjoy doing, is to clap or to react in some way. So if the teacher is asking, is everybody good with the instructions? You can give a thumbs up, or you can clap for a classmate for something they're sharing. It's kind of a silly thing, but it actually can be really nice for the speaker, or be nice for your classmates to have some other reactions, since online learning is different than being in person. And Kara, my colleague, just gave me the thumbs up, which made me feel really good. So thank you, Kara. I appreciate it. Also good to know, can everyone hear me? Is this all working? Ooh, Michael's got a beautiful sky as his background. I love it. I love it. So there's a lot of fun features that you can explore, and a lot of it is just through trial and error and practicing to see what you like or what works for you. Another really cool feature that the teacher can do as well is the teacher can use a breakout room. We're not going to demonstrate that today, but it is a really great feature that the host of the meeting is able to do. And it's basically an opportunity for the teacher to work with students one-on-one. So if you were having questions or issues, or wanted to ask some really in-depth questions of the teacher, especially as if you have a longer class where there's a lot of studio time, where everybody's working quietly, painting, or doing their own project, you could ask, or your teacher might suggest, to use breakout rooms. So you could go in basically another meeting and talk for a little while, and then come back to the main meeting, and that way no one else would be disturbed. You can use the chat feature to talk to people in breakout rooms if you needed to say, hey teacher, come back, there's a question. But it's a really nice way that you're able to work one-on-one with your teacher, so you don't have to feel like you're with 12 other people at all times and everyone's watching you. You can definitely feel like you have some flexibility in talking and working with the teacher on your own. There also are some ways, if you have the most recent version of Zoom on the desktop version. Right now I have the participants bar open, and I also have the options of raising my hand, or of saying yes or no. Not everybody has these options if you're using an iPad or another device, but that's another great way if you have a question or you want to try to communicate with the teacher. You can use some of these different options to communicate non-verbally if you don't want to interrupt something. So those are some of the things that I've really enjoyed about Zoom. And I'm going to lower my hand because I'm raising my hand the whole time. One more final thing that I wanted to also let you know is that you have control over is you can also pin a video. So you can decide what video is the largest video. So if you go, like a desktop version, you'll see if you put your cursor over the video, you'll see a mute option. So you could mute yourself, but you'll also see a ... And if you select that, you'll have different options. And that includes pinning video. So that would be making one video larger. So that is a really helpful thing to know if you want to see the teacher and they have not chosen to spotlight themselves. The other thing I wanted to mention is there's also ways you can change the view. So right now, I have you in gallery view, so it looks kind of like the Brady Bunch, where we're all looking at each other like they did on the Brady Bunch. But you also can select speaker view. So that would mean that whoever is talking or whoever is not muted, they would be the largest video. So that's another way that you can also control what you're seeing a little bit more. And I also have the option to make it a full screen. So there are times that your teacher might be sharing a still life with you, or like Alex will be doing shortly, might be sharing something that they want you to sketch from. And in that case, I would suggest that you enter full screen. That way it will be as large as possible on your screen and you won't have the distractions of your other windows that might be open. So that is my introduction to Zoom and of the features I found really helpful as I've been getting to know it. But we thought it would be really fun to turn it over to Alex and have Alex, first of all, share a little bit about her experiences teaching online and what that's been like and what she's really enjoyed and what students have enjoyed. And then she's going to lead you in doing a demo. So I'll turn it over to Alex.
Great, thanks Christina, and hi, welcome everyone. My name's Alex. I'm a teacher in the drawing and painting department. And this last session when we started these online classes was the first time I ever taught online. And I wasn't sure how it was gonna go and ended up actually being really pleasantly surprised by kind of some of the advantages that come with online teaching. One of the major things that I found is that, you know, usually in in-person classes, as the teacher, I will do some demos or kind of show the students what we're going to be working on for that day. And during that time, you know, all the students come up to my desk and I sort of demonstrate something, and then everyone goes back to their workstations and works on whatever art they're working on. A nice thing about doing classes online is that you can actually do those two things at the same time. So while I'm demoing, the students can also be working on, you know, either the same thing that I'm demoing or something different. And so it actually ends up saving a little bit of time. There's something nice about being able to try something out at the same time that I'm demoing it. So that's been a really big advantage that I've found. In terms of feedback from the students, you know, a lot of my students have said that they really enjoy actually being able to work from home, and that it actually is a lot easier for them to be able to set up exactly how they want at home. They have all their supplies there. They're not running the risk of forgetting to bring something to class. And for some students, that's made the whole process a lot easier. And that, you know, sometimes it's actually easier to watch the demos on a screen where they can make the view as big as they want, as opposed to kind of jockeying with other students to get a good view of whatever the teacher is demoing. Online classes also has the advantage of being able to record the demos. So just like Christina is recording this sort of conversation right now, whenever I'm demoing something in a class, I'll also record it and then share it with the students after the class. And that way, you know, if we kind of blaze through something during class and you want to come back after class during the week and revisit the demo, maybe try it out again, you have that resource ready to go so that you can sort of refresh yourself on what we covered in class. And then the last thing that I found really nice about online classes is, as Christina mentioned, Zoom has this feature called Breakout Rooms, where essentially the teacher can set up a separate meeting to have a one-on-one conversation with a student. So unlike in a classroom where, you know, even when the teacher is checking in with each student one-on-one, all the other students are still in the classroom and can hear everything that's being said, right? So the nice thing about breakout rooms is that it truly is an opportunity for me to work and talk to students one-on-one. So if there's anything that, you know, you might not want to talk about in front of other people, or you're just, you know, sensitive about having your art be shown in front of other people, that really gives you an opportunity to work with me one-on-one and ask any questions that you might have. So yeah, I've been actually really pleasantly surprised with how well online classes work. And yeah, to give you a kind of a sense of how I structure the classes, you know, usually the first half of the class is kind of a series of, or maybe one long demo where I have a separate video, which I have set up here and I'll show you in a second, that's showing kind of what I'm drawing or what I'm trying to show for the day. And during that time, like I said, students can be following along, working on the same exercise or working on something else that they might be working on. And then usually about halfway through class, you know, we take a 10-15 minute break. The classes that I've been teaching are 3 hours long, and that's a long time to be sitting kind of staring at the screen. So it's good to have a little bit of a breather, take a break. And during that time, I have the students photograph whatever they've been working on and send it to me in an email. And it doesn't have to be, doesn't have to be a complicated process. You can just take a quick photo with your phone and email it to me. And then the second half of class is where I will meet with students one-on-one to talk about the images that they've sent me. And so hopefully that helps. I see that Michael asked a question about how students can easily share their artwork with the teacher. And that's really the best way that I've found. If students can just quickly take a photo with their phones of the artwork they've been working on, send it to me in an email, and then we can look at it together. And the way that that works in terms of looking at it together, I'm just going to share my screen with you. So either when I'm doing, you know, it can be sort of a group feedback session or a one-on-one breakout room, I share my screen. Can everyone see me sharing my screen right now? So I share my screen with the students, and that way I can pull up the artwork that they send me and we can look at it and talk about it together. And Zoom also has the nice feature of allowing me to annotate. So if I'm talking about something in particular and I say, oh, let's talk about this eye here, maybe you should you know, move the pupil over a little bit further this way, I can actually mark up the drawing that we're talking about. And so that way I can kind of hopefully more easily explain what I'm talking about and the changes that maybe the student might want to consider making. So I think that's about it in terms of just me talking at you. So maybe I'll actually show you guys sort of what the process of me demoing something during a class is. So Kara, I'll just ask you to spotlight my demo video now. So this is the feature that Christina was describing called spotlighting her video. So hopefully now you can see my drawing set up as kind of the big main screen that you're seeing. And this is a nice feature because no matter who's talking, this image, this view is going to stay as the big screen. So it's not going to change depending on whoever's talking. So yeah, feel free if you want to grab a houseplant, grab a piece of paper and a pencil. I'm just going to do a quick demo of how to draw a houseplant. You're welcome to join along and draw one of your houseplants as well, or if you just want to watch, that's fine as well. Usually when I'm demoing, I ask that students mute themselves just so that, you know, whatever I'm saying comes out as clearly as possible. But of course, at any time, if there's a question, I welcome students to just quickly unmute themselves, interrupt me, ask their question, and I can respond as I'm demoing. Or alternately, the chat function that Christina described is a great way for students to maybe ask a question while I'm demoing that maybe isn't a time-sensitive question they just want me to get to eventually. They can send me a message, and then whenever I happen to look up from what I'm drawing and look at the chat bar, I can see questions that people have answered and then, or asked, and then answer them then. So this quick, we're just going to do maybe a 10-minute, 15-minute demo. I'm going to just show you my method for drawing plants. And I'm going to focus on this little succulent friend right here. And we're just going to do a quick pencil sketch that, you know, maybe later will turn into a pen and ink drawing or a watercolor painting, but all of my pieces start off with a pencil sketch. So when I'm drawing a plant, I start off by trying to simplify the form as much as possible. So in the case of this little succulent here, you know, there's this central whorl of petals or leaves, and then we have the stalk kind of coming down. So I'm going to start off by just sort of generalizing sort of a circular shape for that whorl of leaves, and then sort of paying attention to where the center of that whorl is. And that's kind of where I'm imagining the stem attaching to. So I can kind of extrapolate, that's kind of where the stem would be coming down. So starting off really nice and simple. Now, I have this very simple kind of generalization that I'm going to start working off of. instead of kind of immediately going in and starting in the middle and starting to just draw kind of petal by petal or leaf by leaf, I want to sort of map out where all of these different leaves are kind of attaching and heading out from this sort of center of the whorl. So instead of spending a lot of time drawing each individual leaf and then kind of making my way around and then realizing that, oh, something's off or I didn't leave enough space for one of these leaves, I'm just going to simply mark them out with sort of an axis representing where that leaf is. So most leaves and most petals have sort of a midline axis to them, sort of a line down the middle of the petal or leaf that's dividing that petal or leaf into two symmetrical parts. So kind of imagine that you're drawing in those center axes right now. So we're paying attention to where the leaves are placed, how long they are, what angle they're sort of heading out of the middle from. I'm just sort of working my way around, marking out where those leaves go. Okay, and once I have them all sort of marked out and I know that everything fits and I'm happy with how things are placed, there's kind of two more that are coming off the stem here. Then I can go in and start taking the time to actually draw in the margins of each of those leaves. So now that I'm happy with how everything's placed and everything's proportioned, now I'll spend the time sort of adding in those details of the shape of each of those individual leaves. And I start in the middle so that because the leaves are kind of overlapping one another from behind as you get further around, I start in the middle so that I can fill in the leaves behind as I go. If you were drawing some sort of maybe leafy plant that has a bunch of leaves kind of coming out in all directions, then maybe you would start off with the leaves that are in front first and then work towards the leaves that are behind. So I'm just working around. Keeping in mind that that midline, you know, if we're seeing the leaf or the petal straight on, both sides of that leaf or petal would be mostly symmetrical on either side of that midline. But in the case of some of these leaves or petals, I'm seeing them slightly foreshortened. So just noticing kind of how much of the leaf you're seeing on either side of the midline. If you're seeing more on the side that's closer to you and less on the side that's going further away because it's sort of going back in space. I'm just working my way around. Also noticing kind of where the leaves that are tucking behind, where they're sort of hitting the leaves in front of them. And so that can help you sort of mark out where they fit. Okay. Almost there. And it's also fine as you start putting in the leaves, you know, I noticed that this axis is actually a little bit off. It should probably be more around here. So you can also make those adjustments as you go. Your first pass of axes isn't necessarily the end all. It's just one step in the process. All right, so I'm about done with that kind of center whorl of leaves. I can kind of, as I'm going along, erase out any of those process lines that are just at this point distracting. Now I'm getting down to the stem. So paying attention, you know, we can't see where the stem is attaching to the head of the plant, but we want to imagine that we can. That's what's going to make it feel like a good, well-placed stem. So I kind of drew what I imagined to be sort of the midline of the stem. So that means I'm going to add a little bit of width to it on either side of that midline. And I can get rid of that process mark. And then I have these last two leaves that are sort of tucking underneath. Last one. And there we go. We have our little succulent line drawing. And so now we're ready if I wanted to transfer this to watercolor paper or start inking it for an ink drawing. I have a good solid pencil line drawing that I feel confident that I can base my piece off of. Any questions about that? Great, so hopefully that was helpful and gave you a little bit of a sense of what demos are like over Zoom. Yeah, and please let me know if you have any other questions. Otherwise, I'll turn it back over to Christina.
Those of you who've been sketching along, would you feel comfortable sharing what you worked on? You can unmute yourself and share it.
And for kind of quick sharing like this, I find it easiest to just, you know, hold your drawing up to the camera so that everyone can check it out. So if anyone has a drawing that they've been working on and they want to share, I'd love to see it.
Mine is pretty rough.
Nice, that looks great. And Michael, I can see you're holding up yours. I think possibly your background is interfering. So maybe if you turn off the background, it might be a little bit easier to see.
All right, so you're all welcome and invited to oh, Michael, are you able to show it? Here's Michael's. Oh, it's great.
That looks great. Awesome.
Ooh, Kara's clapping for you, and so am I. So you're all invited to unmute yourself and feel free to ask questions of Alex or of me. The final thing I will share about Alex, and she's a great teacher that we have at the Art Center, is Alex will be teaching 2 classes for us. Pen and ink illustration and drawing and graphite. So if you liked what you saw today, you're welcome to register for those classes. But you're all welcome to talk now, so feel free.
I have a question.
Yeah, hi, Amy.
Hi, how do you do the breakout room?
Do you want me to? Okay. It's really simple. So basically, on the end of the teacher, we it doesn't come up on participants' kind of tool pad, but it comes up for the teachers where we have an option to set up a breakout room. And in a breakout room, we can assign which students participate. And so I usually I use them for one-on-one meetings. So I would just assign one student per breakout room. And then as the student, basically an invitation will just pop up on your screen saying, join the breakout room. And you just click join and it takes you to basically a separate Zoom meeting. And then once in the separate Zoom meeting, it's just like this one, except it's just you and the teacher. You know, we'll have our conversation, we'll look at your artwork, and then just like in this this meeting, there's a button on the bottom right that says leave. There will be a button on the bottom right that says return to main meeting or leave the breakout room, and you click that and it'll take you back to the main session. So it's really straightforward. It's just joining and then leaving when you're done.
Have you, are you finding there's advantages to doing it this way where this might be continued beyond like summer?
Speaking for the Art Center, I believe we'll probably be offering online classes in some shape or form, probably for the rest of the time of
Wow.
because it has been very successful and it is a great way to connect with people that we haven't always been able to get to come to the Art Center, maybe because they have a disability, maybe because they don't have the time, for a lot of different reasons, or maybe they just didn't want to commute to Evanston at whatever time we were offering the class. So it allows a lot more flexibility. So I think we'd always offer it in some way, probably not as many classes when we're able to come back to a more normal existence, but there definitely will always be online classes.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been hearing from students especially that it's very appealing over the summer, because usually, maybe not so much this summer, but usually people do their traveling over the summer, they go to visit relatives or whatever, and so it's nice to have the option of still being able to take a class, but you can do it from anywhere. So.
That's great. Judith or Samantha, do you have any questions?
That was just awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. That was a great demo.
Great, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thanks, Christina.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. And Michael, did you have any questions?
Can you maybe this is more a question for Alex? Can you tell us about like how you visualize the art, or what the document camera is, or what that looks like? What you found worked, and what you found that doesn't work?
Sure, so I can actually show you how I was filming that demo camera. It's not a super high-tech situation, but essentially I have a second personal Zoom account that I log into with my phone. And so my phone is then attached to this little tripod. This little tripod, I can set it right on the table and film something really close up, or I can set it on top of my container of wash paints to get a little bit more leverage. Or I can just hold it by hand. I could also, attach it to a lamp and have it kind of hanging down. But based on feedback from students, I think I found that, the closer I can be filming to the artwork, the better, so they can really see the details of what I'm showing them. So I started off with the kind of overhead view, but actually I think having it more like this, where it can be closer to the artwork, has been more successful. So. Does that answer your question? Cool.
Are there any other questions you have, or any hesitations you have about possibly taking an online class that we could help talk you through?
Oh, looks interesting. Thank you.
That's great. Well, we're done a little bit early, but we're really glad that you could all participate today. And I'd really encourage you to check out the offerings that we have at the Art Center. We have put a lot of time and thought into what offerings we have and trying to have something for everybody. So hopefully there's something for you too. So take a look, and if you have any questions, you can always feel free to let me know. I always, whenever we have you sign up for a class, we always give a contact number of somebody to call if you're having trouble, and also to text or to email if you need it. So you also don't have to feel concerned if you might have a technical difficulty and you're not sure what to do. I'm happy to troubleshoot with you as well. So you're definitely not alone, even though you may be alone in your house. So so we will see you hopefully on a class online, and in the meantime we hope that you all will stay very healthy and well. We're all we miss seeing you at the Art Center, but hopefully we'll see you online.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.